Hi guys, and welcome to Premier Division Week 6, and we start with the lunchtime kickoff, which is Manchester United versus Leicester. Obviously Manchester United losing 3-1 to Watford last week was definitely not in the plans, and nobody really expected that. I didn't watch the whole of the game, but what I did see, Manchester United were dreadful, absolutely awful. And so I suppose I want to get that out of the system this week, being at Old Trafford, being back at Old Trafford as well for the weekend. I want to get that out of the system. And again, Leicester's not going to make it easy for them. You know, Leicester, as we know, they get in people's faces, they hunt things down, they chase things, and they make it hard. Obviously, Leicester was cruising on Wednesday night against Chelsea. Tuesday night against Chelsea, but then obviously went on to lose 4-2. So again, a bit of a disappointment for them. So it brings me to tomorrow's game. I'm going to go 1-1. I think both teams' confidences are down. Both want to try and get back to winning ways, if you like, and it's going to be tough. But you're going to see a lot of the ball stuck in midfield. Might have short outbursts of end to end. So I'm going to go 1-1 for this one. We then go to the 3 o'clock kickoffs, and we start with Liverpool versus Hull. Obviously, let's start with Hull. You know, they've been doing quite well for the season until they met Arsenal last week, and I think Arsenal absolutely demolished them. Again, Hull played very poor. Arsenal were really at it last week, and again, Hull will want to get that out of their system. You know, because. I mean, when you have a bad loss like that, I mean, especially being at home, you know, you have to do something special to try and get your fans back on side. And obviously, you know, the fans are going to be very, very pissed off with that last week. Yes, you have to give credit to Arsenal as well for being on the game, but that doesn't stop you defending. I just thought Hull were complete utter rubbish last week. Then we go on to Liverpool. Fantastic win against Chelsea last Friday. You know, I thought Chelsea were dreadful last week, and I thought Liverpool were at it. So Liverpool's confidence high, if you like, and Hull's low. But fun enough, I'm going to go the same result as Manchester United game. I'm going to go 1-1 because I think that Hull will try and tighten up their defence this week. They would have worked on that all week, and for me, I think Liverpool have these short outbursts where they play really well. You know, like against Arsenal the first game of the season, and against Chelsea, but then they face teams like Burnley and just play dreadful, and and go on to lose. So I feel they beat Chelsea last week, but they're going to draw to Hull this week. That's my opinion. We then have Bournemouth versus Everton. Obviously, Bournemouth getting demolished by Manchester City last week. Nothing to be ashamed of there, but again, it doesn't stop you defending. So I thought again. Well done to Manchester City, but awful from Bournemouth on their behalf. And the way Everton's playing at the moment, being second in the league as well, I'm going to go Bournemouth 0, Everton 2. I think it gets worse for Bournemouth and it gets better for Everton. We then have Swansea versus Manchester City, and again, the way Manchester City are playing at the moment, it's hard to predict to go against them when every single fixture keeps coming up. So again, I'm going to go for Manchester City this week. I think they're going to. No disrespect to Swansea, but I don't think that they're going to be a match for Manchester City at all. And I'm going to go Swansea 0, Manchester City 3. We then have kind of a derby, which is Stoke versus West Brom. And again, obviously, West Brom scoring 4 goals against West Ham last week. You know, that's going to give them massive confidence. Stoke not being at their best lately. But again, I'm going to go for another 1-1 here. I'm going to go for... kind of a tough game, and both teams that are going to try and be at it this week, and definitely Stoke will want to try and tighten up their defence as they've been not very well lately. So again, I'm going to go for 1-1 there. We then have Sunderland versus Crystal Palace, and again, Crystal Palace scoring 4 goals last week. You know, which was against Stoke, I believe. Yes, it was against Stoke. Yeah. So obviously Stoke want to get that out of the system, and Crystal Palace, scoring 4 goals last week, massive confidence at the moment. Again, it only takes a great result to get your season going. Hopefully that's the case with Arsenal. But it only takes a great result to get going. But then sometimes if you get a great result, you can get a bit carried away, which is what I said about Liverpool, and then you can get brought back down to earth and have a poor game and draw. I don't think they'll demolish Sunderland this week, Crystal Palace, but I am going to go for a tight win for Crystal Palace. I'm going to go Sunderland 1, Crystal Palace 2. We then have Middlesbrough versus Spurs. I've talked about Middlesbrough this season. You know how they've impressed me coming up into the Premier League. But again, I think that Spurs are going to be too strong for them. They've started to find their feet now, started to knock in some goals. I'm going to go Middlesbrough 1, Spurs 3. We then have a very tasty 5:30 kickoff, which is Arsenal versus Chelsea. Again, let's talk about the Hull game first. Arsenal looked really well against Hull on last Saturday. Didn't put a foot wrong, played really well. I suppose the only foot you said they could put wrong was maybe giving the penalty away. But other than that, don't really see that we did much wrong in the game. It was just a typical Arsenal in the mood kind of game, and when Arsenal are in the mood, you just don't stop them. And then obviously we had a very good result against Nottingham Forest, in the Capital One Cup, I believe it's called now, Capital One Cup. On Tuesday night again, we set out a different team, but again demolished Nottingham Forest, 4-0 in the end. Two great cracking shots from Granit Xhaka lately. Hopefully he can make it a hat-trick tomorrow. But any goal counts, eh? Moving on to Chelsea, as we've talked, they had a dreadful game against Liverpool last week. Very poor. I watched that. They were very poor. Very Kante-like. He's kind of the way he set up his team. It just didn't look like they were on the ball last week. And for the first half, on Tuesday night against Leicester, again looked very poor. Looked like they wasn't interested. And obviously they turned it around in the second half, or was it an extra time? It took it to extra time, and ended up winning 4-2. Again, these are always taster games. There's nearly always a sending off, lots of goals in them. The only difference is for this fixture is there's no Jose Mourinho for Chelsea anymore, which always used to spice up the fixture that little bit more. However, I feel that this game's got 1-1 written all over it. I feel that both teams have got confidence at the moment. Obviously, as I said, there's no Jose this year, which we always used to struggle playing against Jose Mourinho, which is why I'm not looking forward to playing Manchester United, to be honest. So there's no Jose. We still have to deal with Diego Costa if you like, but come on, guys, no excuses. It's as I've spoke before. You heard Dan on here as well. Who's talked about how the game's changed nowadays. That's just the game. Trying to get people sent off and winding people up and whatever. You have to oversee that and just try and be professional. Don't let him get to you. And let's just try and stick to football and try and beat Chelsea. But I think it'll be a draw. I don't think we're quite good enough to beat Chelsea just yet. But I don't think we will lose, being as though it's at home. So that's all I'm going to say about that fixture. We then go to just the one Sunday kickoff on Sunday. We have West Ham versus Southampton. West Ham been absolutely dreadful lately. Scoring 2 goals going 2-0 up against Watford and then losing 4-2. Going 4-0 down against West Brom. Okay, I know they did score 2 goals to make it 4-2, but they've been dreadful at the moment, West Ham. Really got to try and get that out of the system. I do believe they might have tightened up their defence, being as though they've conceded 4 goals in the space of 2 games. So I feel they would have tightened up the defence, but I'm still going to go for them to lose. I'm going to go West Ham 1, Southampton 2, because I believe at the fixture, Southampton are the strongest at the moment as we speak. And then we have the Monday night football, which is Burnley versus Watford. And obviously I talked about Watford, winning 3-1 against Manchester United. Can't quite remember who Burnley played last week, but I feel that this game's got another draw written all over it. 2 teams that I know that Watford did score 3 goals last week, but 2 teams that don't have many goals in them. I'm going to go Burnley 0, Watford 0. So that has been my predictions for this week, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope everyone gets all the fixtures they want, unless if you're a Chelsea fan. And I will see you next week for next week's predictions. Thank you for watching, guys.